Something changed, not suddenly. It crept in over about 10 years, and most people didn't notice until it was already done. Your truck used to be yours. You bought it, you paid for it, you drove it off the lot. You pulled into your driveway, jacked it up on a Saturday morning, drained the oil, swapped the filter, and topped it off. You reset the little light on the dash by holding down a button, and that was it. Job done. Took you 30 minutes, cost you maybe $12. You didn't need permission, you didn't need a computer. You didn't need to make an appointment and sit in a waiting room under fluorescent lights watching cable news for 2 hours while someone who's been certified for 6 months does the same job you could do in your sleep. That's gone now. Not entirely, not for every truck, but for a whole lot of them. The new ones, the ones being sold right now. That Saturday morning ritual is locked behind software, behind dealer tools, behind manufacturer agreements that say you don't own what you paid for. Not really. You own the metal and the plastic, but the software that controls the metal and the plastic, that belongs to someone else. I've been turning wrenches on pickup trucks for over 2 decades. I've watched this happen in real time. I've watched good, capable men walk into a dealership with a basic maintenance question and walk out with a $300 bill for something they could have done themselves with a wrench and a drain pan. I've watched independent mechanics, men who have been fixing trucks since before the internet existed, get pushed out of the market because they can't access the software they need to do a full diagnostic. And I've watched manufacturers and their lobbyists call this progress. It isn't progress. It's a lock, and you're on the wrong side of it. My name is Wade Tucker. I spent 22 years as a diesel mechanic for a logging operation in eastern Tennessee before I retired. I've worked on more than 100 pickup trucks in my life. F-150s, Silverados, Rams, Tundras, Rangers, you name it. My personal 1997 F-150 hit 412,000 miles before I pulled the engine, rebuilt it in my driveway over a winter, and put another 80,000 on it before I sold it to a neighbor. He still drives it today. I started this channel because the information I'm about to share with you is being systematically kept from you by the people who profit from you not knowing it. If you want to know how to keep your truck running, how to fight for your right to fix it yourself, and which trucks you can still actually own, subscribe. Hit that button right now before we go any further. And after you watch this video, tell me in the comments what year and model you're driving. I want to know how many of you are already caught in this lockout, and how many of you still have options. Let's get into it. Here is what has happened to modern pickup trucks over the last decade. The manufacturers, Ford, General Motors, Ram, Toyota, all of them, have built proprietary software systems into their trucks that do more than just monitor performance. These systems control access to basic maintenance functions, and they've structured things so that interacting with those systems fully, or resetting them properly after maintenance, requires their tools, their software, their people. Take the oil life monitor. If you drive a 2018 or newer F-150 with a 3.5-liter EcoBoost, you can drain your oil, fill it back up with fresh fluid, and your truck still tells you it needs an oil change. The oil life monitor doesn't reset with a dash button sequence anymore. Not reliably, not across all functions. Ford's system uses the IPC, the Instrument Panel Cluster, which connects to the PCM. In some model years, a full reset requires 4 scan at minimum, a third-party software interface, or in the worst cases, a Ford-specific IDS scan tool that only dealers and licensed shops carry. Some owners figure out workaround procedures, but the fact that there's a workaround required at all tells you everything you need to know about intent. This isn't limited to Ford. The 2019 and newer Silverado with the Dynamic Fuel Management V8, that's GM's cylinder deactivation system, requires a Tech 2 or a GM MDI2 interface to run full service resets and diagnostics. Independent mechanics don't have those unless they pay GM a subscription fee. I'm not joking about the subscription. General Motors, as of 2022, began requiring shops to pay annual licensing fees to access the full range of diagnostic functions on their vehicles. You want to do a complete transmission service reset on a 2021 Silverado at an independent shop? The shop owner better be paying that annual fee or the software won't authorize the reset. Ram is no different. The 8-speed ZF transmission in post-2013 Ram 1500s, the one that replaced the old 545 RFE, requires Chrysler's Y-Tech 2 system to perform a full transmission adaptive reset after a fluid service. If you drain the fluid, clean the filter, and refill it without running that reset, the transmission relearns from scratch, and some trucks exhibit shift flares and hard downshifts for thousands of miles because the adaptive tables were wiped. Dealers know this. Independent shops with the right equipment know this. Your average DIY guy in the driveway doesn't know this, and no one's in a hurry to tell him. This is the lockout. It isn't just the oil light, it's the transmission. It's the active fuel management. It's the exhaust aftertreatment systems on diesel trucks, the DPF regeneration cycles, the DTF system resets, the SCR calibration. A modern diesel pickup, a 2020 or newer Ford Powerstroke, a Duramax, a Cummins, has more emissions-related software hooks than a 1990s car had total systems. And virtually all of that software is proprietary. Dealers have the keys. You don't. The right to repair movement has been fighting this for years, and I want you to understand what that fight actually is, because it's easy to dismiss it as a tech industry argument about John Deere tractors, which is where it got the most press coverage. But it is the same fight. John Deere told farmers they couldn't repair their own equipment because the software was proprietary. Farmers sued. The FTC got involved. And what happened with John Deere is a preview of exactly what is happening right now with your truck. The automotive right to repair battle in the U.S. started getting serious around 2012, when Massachusetts passed a state ballot initiative requiring manufacturers to provide independent shops with the same diagnostic access dealers had. The auto industry fought it. They fought it in court, they lobbied against federal expansion, and they largely succeeded in watering down what access actually means in practice. The 2014 National Memorandum of Understanding was supposed to give independent shops access to manufacturer repair information. What it actually gave them was access to some information, not the same software, not the same tools, not the same real-time data capability that dealers use. The gap between what dealers can do and what independent mechanics can do has not closed. It has widened. Every generation of truck has more proprietary systems, more software-locked functions, more maintenance procedures that tie you to the dealer. And the people on the other side of that fight, the dealer lobby, the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, have argued with a straight face that this is for your safety, that proprietary software protects consumers, that giving independent mechanics the same access as dealers would compromise cybersecurity. That argument is dishonest, and everyone in the mechanical trade knows it. The safety systems on your truck, the ABS, the airbags, the structural engineering, those don't get compromised because a mechanic in Kansas can run a full diagnostic reset without paying Ford a licensing fee. That's not a safety issue. That's a revenue protection issue dressed up in safety language. What mechanics lose when this lockout takes full effect is their livelihood. I know independent mechanics who've been working on trucks for 30 years who now have to turn away 2019 and newer models because they can't complete the job without dealer-level tools they can't afford. A Ford IDS license, the hardware dongle, the laptop it runs on. You're looking at several $1,000s minimum, plus renewal fees, plus updates. A one-man shop that fixes what his community drives can't absorb that cost. So he sends those customers to the dealer, and the dealer charges them twice what the independent would have. The customer loses his independent mechanic, the independent mechanic loses his business, the dealer wins, and the manufacturer wins because now those customers are dependent on dealer infrastructure for the life of the truck. This is not an accident, this was designed. Now let me tell you what it used to look like, because if you're under 35, you may have never experienced a truck that was actually designed to be owned. Take a 1995 Chevrolet CK1500, the 5.7-liter TBI V8. That truck had no oil life monitor. You changed the oil when the calendar said to, or when the dipstick told you to. You drained it, you filled it, and you drove away. No reset. No scan tool. No notification to clear. The engine management system was simple enough that you could disconnect the battery for 30 seconds to clear any stored codes you'd accidentally set. Spark plugs, air filter, fuel filter, all of it accessible with hand tools in under an hour. Or go one step further to a 1997 F-150 with the 4.6-liter two-valve modular V8. The oil change procedure was drain, fill, reset by holding the trip reset button with the key in the on position. Done. The spark plugs were two-valve heads. You could get to all 8 without removing anything except the coil packs. The transmission was a 4R70W with a removable pan, replaceable filter, and a service interval you could handle yourself in the driveway with a socket set and a drain pan. Total service cost in parts, $25 to $30. Time, about 45 minutes including cleanup. The shift started around 2004 to 2006. That's when you start to see the increasing integration of body control modules, the introduction of more sophisticated PCM calibrations that required dealer-level programming after component replacement, and the beginning of the end for completely DIY accessible maintenance. The 2004-2008 Ford 5.4-liter 3-valve Triton, the one that replaced the older 2-valve, introduced variable cam timing with cam phasers that required specific software procedures to diagnose correctly. You could still do most of the maintenance yourself, but when something went wrong, you were increasingly dependent on scan tool data that basic code readers couldn't access. By 2011 and 2012, you had trucks that used active fuel management. Government Motors called it AFM, Ford called it cylinder deactivation. And that system added layers of software interaction that basic maintenance increasingly couldn't ignore. The 2014 introduction of the aluminum body F-150 brought with it new calibration requirements after body work. The 2015 Colorado and Canyon brought the new Hydromatic 8L45 transmission with adaptive shift programming that punished improper service. By 2018, the Lockout was structural. It was built into the vehicle design from the ground up. Not a bug, not an oversight, a feature, a revenue feature sold to management as efficiency and to customers as advanced technology. The moment manufacturers locked owners out wasn't a single moment. It was a long series of decisions made in engineering meetings and legal departments and lobbying offices. Each individual decision seemed small. Together, they added up to something that fundamentally changed what it means to own a truck. So where does that leave you? What can you still do? First, if you own a truck from 2003 and earlier, you are largely still in good shape. I am talking about the 1999-2004 Ford F-150 with the 4.6-liter or 5.4-liter two-valve engine. I am talking about the 1999-2006 Silverado with the 4.8-liter, 5.3-liter, or 6.0-liter LS family engine. I am talking about the 2003 and older Dodge Ram with the 5.9-liter Magnum V8 or, if you're lucky, the 5.9-liter Cummins 24-valve. These trucks are accessible. The maintenance on them is honest. You can do an oil change, a transmission service, a cooling system flush, and a tune-up on any of these trucks with a basic socket set, a floor jack, and $50 in parts. You do not need a computer to reset anything. You do not need permission from the manufacturer to maintain what you paid for. Second, if you already own a newer truck and you want to do your own maintenance, learn ForeScan if it's a Ford. Learn HP Tuners or Auto Ingenuity if it's a GM. These are third-party software platforms that give you access to more of your truck's systems than a basic OBD2 reader will. They're not perfect. They're not the same as dealer tools. But for oil life resets, transmission adaptations, and basic module communication, they'll get you through most maintenance without a dealer visit. The hardware interface runs anywhere from $20 to $150 depending on the platform. That's a one-time cost that pays for itself the first time you reset your own oil monitor, instead of paying $60 for the dealer to press 2 buttons. Third, get involved in the right to repair fight. I don't care if you think you're not a political person. This isn't left or right. This is about whether you own what you paid for. Go to repair.org. Look up the coalition. Write your representative. I know that sounds like something a man on a television commercial says, but I'm telling you this movement needs people who actually work on trucks to show up and say, this is affecting real people, not just tech companies and farmers. The fight that John Deere farmers won in principle is the same fight truck owners need to win, and the manufacturers are already preparing to resist it. Fourth, be deliberate about what you buy next. If you are in the market for a used truck and you want to be able to maintain it yourself, buy older. A well-maintained 2001 Silverado with the 5.3 liter is a better investment for a DIY owner than a 2022 truck with 90,000 miles and 3 computer systems you can't talk to. I know the newer truck looks better and rides better, but a truck you can maintain yourself will outlast a truck that holds you hostage to dealer service, assuming you do the maintenance. And that's the whole point of what I've spent 2 decades trying to teach. The best truck you can own is the one you can take care of yourself. Not because older trucks are romantic, not because I'm stuck in the past, but because a truck you can fix is a truck you actually own. The rest of them, the ones with the lockdown software, the proprietary tools, the annual subscription fees your mechanic has to pay just to reset your transmission, those aren't trucks. Those are appliances with a payment plan. And that should make you angry. It makes me angry. I've been turning wrenches on pickups since before some of you were born, and I can tell you right now, the best truck you'll ever own is one that lets you own it back. If you're in a newer truck and you're locked out of maintaining it, you need to know that. You need to know what your options are. And you need to know that a lot of good mechanics are getting pushed out of the trade because manufacturers decided that the right to repair your own property is a threat to their business model. It is a threat. It's supposed to be. That's the whole point. Down in the comments right now, I want you to tell me your truck's year and model. Tell me if you've hit this lockout yourself. Tell me if you've had to pay a dealer for something you should have been able to do in your driveway. I read every comment on this channel. This is real information from real truck owners, and it matters. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now. This channel is the only place I know of that gives you the straight truth about what modern truck ownership actually means and what you can do about it. No sponsors, no brand deals, no manufacturer talking points dressed up as mechanical advice. Just what I've seen with my own eyes over 20 plus years under these trucks. More coming. Subscribe and you'll get it when it drops. And remember, if your truck needs a computer to tell you what's broken, you've already lost something. Make sure you know what that something is worth.